A sector that's obviously booming, and it's as smooth as the engines that we see. Of course, we're talking about the automobile sector. Welcome to this special show of Motown with me, Nivedna, Prabhu and E.T. Now, in fact, it's the 65th SIAM Conclave. What we saw was just not about conversations and the theme sustainability as well as safety, but also given the fact that every industry person was talking about how there's a bonanza of the GST rate rationalization. But what more was the outcome? You will know. Stay tuned to this session. Joining me is MD of Maruti Suzuki India, Shashi Takeuchi. Thank you very much, sir, for taking the time out and joining us. It's always a pleasure to not just meet you, but be in conversation. You know, in fact, the last time we met was at the Victoris launch. We were talking about what would actually happen with the GST rate rationalization, and then it did. And now, how are you looking at it essentially for Maruti?
Yeah, this is a very, very big gift from the government to everybody. And also, this is a very good support for, especially for the small cars. The small car GST was 29%, now becoming 18%. So 11% tax cut. That will give us, when we calculate the retail price, it will give us about 8.5% price reduction of the retail price. So that itself is positioning the small entry cars much lower position. So I think entry cars will become very affordable for many people. So I think this is a great support from the government.
You know, it is a great policy push, and the timing of it also perhaps couldn't have been better given the festive season around the corner. So what's the outlook like?
I think we already see some good trend of increase of booking, and especially like small cars. For the first part of this year, small car is declining, but now from that level, I think we expect more than like a 10% increase will start after this GST cut.
And in terms of outlook for the industry as a whole, what are we looking at?
Yes, the small car is getting this benefit, but across all the segment, it gives us decent tax cut. So every segment will enjoy this GST reform, and overall, I think next year, financial year, the total industry will start showing 7 or 8% increase from H2 of this year and next financial year as well.
You know, something interesting that has, of course, happened for Maruti is with the launch that we saw in the Gujarat facility, with the Prime Minister being there, the export aspects that we're looking at it. What I want to understand is how is Maruti looking to get that balance between exports and the domestic demand with the revised GST, of course, likely to perhaps influence consumer demand as well?
Yeah, of course, the domestic market is the biggest and the most important market for us. But as you said, export demand is growing. The year before, 2 years back, our export was 2.8 lakh. Last year was 3.3, and this year we see more than 4 lakh. So the growth rate is actually bigger than the one for the domestic market.
Well, yes, the excitement is all about autos, and from the sidelines of SIAM's 65th Annual Conclave, we have been joined by Nalinikanth Golakunda of M&M to talk more that what could be in store for M&M and the industry as well. Hi, very good afternoon, and thank you so much for your time. And yes, the excitement is all about GST because after the announcement, Nalinikanth, Mahindra chose to pass on the GST cut benefits early to the customers, and that's ahead of your peers as well, and way ahead about that 22nd September deadline. Now, what drove that move? Was it purely competitive positioning, or was it to send a message to the market? Agrawal, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Firstly, thank you for having me on the show here. And like you said, GST reforms has been an important step for not just the industry, for the overall economy. And this is something the government was focused on benefiting the customer. And when we looked at the overall scheme, we saw that it actually has positive impact across our portfolio. Almost 60% of our portfolio, which are larger vehicles, we have a benefit from 48% or so coming down to 40%. And the rest of the portfolio, smaller vehicles, we have the benefit from 31, 28% all the way to 18%. So we felt that if the government is intent on passing this kind of benefit to the customers, why do we wait till festive? Why don't we get the excitement going ahead of time? And that's the reason why we announced it, that from 6th onwards, you could benefit, and so that the customer doesn't have to wait for getting the benefit overall. And it's been received very well, and we've had good traction in terms of walk-ins and inquiries at our showrooms.
Indeed, but Nalnikant, we do know about the high waiting periods for some of your most loved cars. But with respect to the dealer's interest, there's a compensation cess factor that is still remaining to be a challenge for them. But some experts do believe that this kind of a price cut that you have taken already and started adjusting your prices with respect to the GST cut, in a way, you will also participate in that, and you will also take that share. If you can help us understand how much of the price cut that has been announced before that 22nd September date, how much will you be absorbing that versus the dealers in order to liquidate the inventory which still has that compensation cess factor?
Yeah, firstly, on the waiting periods, over the last 12 months, we have actually significantly increased our production capacities for both the in-demand models on 3X on Thar Rock. So you'd be happy to note that actually the waiting periods have come down, and anybody who's looking for vehicles for festive period, they'll be able to get the vehicles as well across the portfolio. Now, coming to the cess issue, obviously it's a significant challenge for the entire industry, and the numbers thrown around 2,500 crores. So it could be higher than that, depending on how the retails happen till 22nd. It's an issue with the industry has taken up with the government, both from SIAM perspective as well as FADA perspective. And I'm aware that the government is looking at it closely. So we are hoping to see some kind of positive resolution from the government. From our end, what we have done is with the schemes we have put out so far, what we've announced till 22nd September, that should help our dealers at least start to clear some part of the inventory as well. So beyond that, hard to predict how the things will pan out. And like I said, we have made a representation of the government and waiting for some kind of direction from there.
Well, indeed, but Nalnikant, Mahindra is known and has a track record of setting the headline numbers on the day of launch days, the booking dates. So this time, are we looking for another record-breaking booking or delivery figure this festive season? Maybe even on the day, one of those days during Navratras or Dussehra or 22nd September itself?
Well, I'm waiting with bated breath as you are, so we'll see how the festive season plays out. But actually, even beyond the festive season, we have launches planned beyond that as well. So quite some excitement in store for the consumers for the rest of the year.
Let's talk about India's truck industry. The growth has slowed down from 45% CAGR over FY21-23 to 0% in FY24 and to just 4% in FY25. But the GST push, is that really going to bring that cheer back into the commercial vehicle industry? Who better than Mr. Shenu Agrawal will help us understand that? And with this, let me welcome him on the show as well. A very good afternoon, Mr. Agrawal, and thank you so much for your time. And there has been a big cut in the GST from 28% to 18% now. Firstly, help us understand, how do you think that it can bring that cheer back into the industry growth? I know that you have been looking out for a mid-single-digit growth in the MHCV industry in FY26, but would you like to revise that now?
Yeah, definitely would like to revise that upwards. And although I cannot give you a number right now, I think we should wait and watch how the market reacts. But I think it is going to be a big boost for our industry. And that will be on two different accounts. One, as you can imagine, the price is going down by 10%. And of course, all the manufacturers will pass it on to the customers. So customer will have a direct benefit of that. That is one. But I think even bigger benefit for us, for our industry, beyond the price cut, is that this is not just limited to our CV industry. You know, this is going to touch every sector. This is going to touch every consumer in the country. And I think there would be a general boost in consumption. And when the consumption would have a boost, you know, definitely the demand for freight will increase. And that is, I think, is the biggest factor that we are very positive about. Because when the freight demand goes up, then that creates, essentially, that creates a need for people to buy more trucks and buses.
Well, indeed, but along with that, within the segments, which segment are you most bullish on? Is there anything in specific? Because I'm not sure about the commercial vehicle division right now, but some of the other segments are now seeing increased inquiries. Is that the case with Ashok Leyland as well? And along with that, how do you see the real demand panning out across the segment?
No, like I said, you know, we are very encouraged by these GST reforms that have just happened. Like I said, this will not just cut the cost of the fleet operators, but also will trigger a lot of additional freight demand. In terms of specific segments, we believe tippers should do very well, because I think there is a great momentum in the construction and infrastructure industry, also in the mining segment. Also, we believe that tractor trailer is one segment which is going to do very, very well. In fact, some of the rigid truck market is also shifting to the tractor trailer side. So that is another reason that this particular segment is doing well. And the ICV segment actually has been doing also very well, you know, because of the increase in the e-commerce in the last mile. So we think that most of the segments should do well, and buses, we know, are kind of doing extremely well for last 2-3 years, and we are still seeing a lot of new orders coming for buses.
Tarun, thank you so much for your time and good speaking with you. And let's talk about the real excitement in place. GST cuts, they are live now. You too have announced the price cuts. Help us understand the demand sentiment right now and how big this festive season could be. What sort of a incremental volume growth are you expecting?
Thank you, Shrishti, for having me here. And at the outset, I'd like to really thank the Honorable Prime Minister for ushering in this huge GST reforms. I believe they will give a big impetus to the Indian economy, and especially talking about car industry. You know, if you see last 20 years, never before this kind of a GST cut has happened. You know, I've seen 4%, 6% cuts happening, but now 10%. In fact, 10 to 13% for small cars, and even in the big cars, 3 to 10%. So it's a huge cut. You talked about the growth expectations. It is always very difficult to predict. But if you see last few months, April to August were kind of very muted for the domestic market. Industry has been at -2%, but the CAGR, if you see 5 years, has been at about 4.5% to 5%. So I believe with this impetus provided by the GST cut, we'll be back to the 5% thing. So the swing, if you see, from -2 to 5 will be about 7%. So like I said, these are only my initial estimates. The bookings have really gone up. Last few days, we were the first company to announce full passing of the GST cut benefit to the customers. So the showroom traffic has increased. Of course, the 22nd September will usher in the Navratra season, which is very, very auspicious and very good for most of the country, and then followed by Dhanteras and Diwali as well. And then the marriage season kicks in. So I think we are really expecting some very good demand coming in from 22nd September onwards.
Well, indeed, everybody is excited for that to happen, and from the consumer front as well. But let's talk about some of the new launches that are lined up. We already know that you have 26 models lined up till FY30, with 8 due in the next 2 quarters, I believe. How many launches can we see happening? Which segment will get priority? Give us some sense.
So Shrishti, I think the new launches always get that kind of excitement. But at the same time, I think sometimes we need to wait for the right time. So my request is please wait. But what is important is that the Pune plant kicks in from Q3 of financial 25-26, which is just starting in October. So just about right time. If you see our capacity, current capacity is 824,000, and the 170,000 of Pune plant will make it about 994,000. And of course, we have married our new product cycle to this Pune plant capacity expansion. So you will see a lot of excitement from Hyundai in the next few years, and not only in terms of new segments, in terms of powertrains. In fact, in addition to the 6 electric vehicles, including upgrades that we have announced, we also announced entering into hybrids. We're already very strong in petrol, CNG, diesel, the entire EV ecosystem, whether it's a charging infrastructure where we are going to have 600 DC fast chargers by 2032. The battery packs have already been localized. Going forward, we have tied up with an Indian local manufacturer for cell manufacturing. So we are very, very bullish about the Indian market. With the IPO listing, the responsibility increases. At the same time, the opportunities go up as well. So I think we are very excited, and this GST has come absolutely at the right time to really, really fuel the dreams, into reality.
Shailesh Chandra, President SIAM, joining us here on ET now. So thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking with us. Let's begin with what has, of course, happened in terms of the GST rate rationalization. What do you make of that in the scheme of what we're looking at?
Yeah, I think it's a welcome reform, very highly appreciated, because this is something which the auto industry had been asking for I don't know how many years, but it has come, I would say, just ahead of the festive season, which is great, and I expect that all the categories of automobile products will benefit from this from a demand perspective, and we had been seeing that demand was slowing down, so this was much needed booster. And we generally see that in festive period you get a demand which is 35-40% more than the average that you get in any month during the year. So that itself is going to be a booster. On top of that, since 15th August when the announcement was made, there are customers who have been waiting. So there's a pent-up also which will get released. And of course, because of GST reduction, there were many customers who were not considering buying a car, will come into the market now. And that also in the auspicious period of Dussehra, Diwali and all. So I think it should be a big booster to the industry.
And of course, the timing of it also, like you mentioned, the festive
Timing is
season.
absolutely bang on.
There is a little bit of ambiguity as far as the cess is concerned, right? And there is, of course, dialogue is what we are given to understand. But how is that going to be navigated in terms of an industry lens? Also, how are we looking at this?
This is a request that we have given to the government. Both, FADA as well as OEMs have, from our association, SIAM, we have represented on this matter that this is one transitionary mechanism is needed to really help us, kind of navigate this sudden change which has come. There are certain interim measures which we are trying to take, but really a transitionary mechanism can only help. You can only, do certain number of retails by 22nd to avoid the impact, but you are also in the inauspicious period. So it's a challenge.
What I want to, now ask you about is what Union Minister Nitin Gadkari at the event spoke about. And of course, you also put that question forth to him in terms of the E20 rollout. There has been a lot of back and forth in terms of how people are viewing this, right? From an industry perspective, how are we addressing consumer concerns while defending the use of this blend?
Correct. One should really see the merit of E20. This is not something which has happened all of a sudden. It has gone through the consultation process for multiple years, and it has been with the oil companies, with the automotive manufacturers and government. All inputs have been taken. It's for the benefit of the country. If you see at a larger level, you avoid import of fossil fuel. It is, short cycle of CO2. So from CO2 emission perspective also, it's a good thing to go for. And of course, the benefit of farmers' income and all. So good thing. It has implication, of course, as is being talked about, but it's not very significant. Fuel efficiency impact might be 3 to 5%, which might not be even perceivable, right? Or certain concerns around the component, compatibilities and all. I think ARI has come with a study that it does not impact, and therefore I don't think so there's very significant change that customers will see at this level of E20.
Lots more to continue on the other side after this short break on Motown on ET. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
You're still tuned into the Motown Show, and up next, we have got a very special conversation lined up for you as we talk about a bold new entrant shaking up the India's EV market. VinFast has rolled out its new offering, but what are their big India plans? For this, let me welcome Mr. Pham San Chow, who is the CEO of VinFast Asia. Mr. Chow, congratulations first of all on VinFast debut into India with VF6 and VF7 as well. But firstly, tell us, what is your immediate strategy for these two models and how do they fit into the broader India roadmap?
We are very happy to announce the two models, VF7 and VF6, into Indian market. Why we have selected these two models? Because VF7 is the premier vehicle of the highest segment. We have vehicle VF7, VF8 and VF9. So we decided to bring in here VF7, which is the beginning of the very high segment. And we decided to bring the highest variance of the second segment, which is VF6. So with this, we hope that we will be able to position ourselves as a premium car manufacturing in India. That is the first point. The second point, you are talking about the strategy. We come here with the whole ecosystem. We don't come here just to sell the car. Why we come here with the whole ecosystem? Unlike other OEM, normally they import CBU into the market and they test the market and they see the reaction of the market before they make the final call. For VinFast, we decided to go straight into constructions of our factory in Thoothukudi, Tamil Nadu. Therefore, building the factory has reflected our long-term commitment to stay here long in India. And secondly, together with the factory completion, we developed our networks in 37 major cities with 35 showrooms. And in addition to the network of showrooms across India, we decided to build our own network of repair and service centers.
All right, but beyond these two SUVs, Mr. Chow, should Indian consumers expect more VinFast models soon? And in which segments are you likely to expand?
When we launched the car here, just the beginning of a longer journey for Vin Group. So selling the car, just a starting point. And selling these two models, just a starting point, because we have commitment of launching every 6 months one model. At the moment, we have 6 models in our lineup. And 2 days ago, on the occasions of the 80th anniversary of the National Independence Day of Vietnam, we launched the bulletproof car with a limited edition for the time being. And that bulletproof car has been tested in Germany. That car, named Lạc Hồng 900 LX, have gone through the mine land, and mine exploded, no impact. So my point here is that targeting a certain sale volume, targeting a certain share in the market, of course, it is a KPI for any OEM. But deep down, in the longer run, we want to complete the mission. And that mission is to make India greener and better for future generations.
All right, but the pricing. Mr. Chow, we do take note that your pricing is very competitive, around 16.5 lakhs for the VF6 and 20.9 lakhs is the starting price for VF7. What factors went into finalizing this strategy?
Many people have speculations that our VF7 should be above 35 lakhs and our VF6 should be above 25 lakhs. I did a small survey among 19 dealers of ours, and almost the majority of the dealers also come up with the price similar to the price of the speculations. That's why everybody got surprised with this price. With this price, we want to show to Indian customers, the first Indian customers, that we can produce a very high quality price. We can provide you a very good after-sale support, and certainly the price should be affordable, because we realize that India remains a price-sensitive market. That's what we decided to come with that price.
All right, but along with that, Mr. Chow, localization. That is critical for long-term success in India, and you have talked about it in the past as well. But now tell us, how do you plan to leverage the local manufacturing and supply chains to strengthen your position in Indian market?
Oh yes, we have been in discussion with many Indian suppliers. And today you have the presence of Mr. Ashok Minda, who is the chairman of Minda Group. And the Minda Group is the person who provided us components here in India itself. Me personally, I came to know him when I was ambassador of Vietnam to India. And I'm the person who helped his company to install the factory in Vĩnh Phúc in Vietnam. So many companies, suppliers are being present here today at the launch, express their keen interest in collaborating with us. And some, as I mentioned earlier, ready to shift part of their production to Thoothukudi in order to accompany our Indian journey.
All right, Mr. Chow, with this, we'll let you go on that. Really appreciate you taking the time out and speaking with us on ET Now. Pleasure.